my great peoples. Hey, y'all. Welcome to another episode of the Convicted to Grow podcast. Y'all already know how we do. I'm your girl, Coach Tressa, motivational speaker and confidence coach. And listen, y'all know how we do. We talk about growth. We talk about resilience. We talk about entrepreneurship, spiritual development, personal development, a little bit of everything, as long as it's about growth, right? And so here we are. Today, I got a guest. Okay, I told y'all I was coming back for the summertime with some new guests. And so I'm super, super excited. And before I introduce to you my guest, please make sure that if you're on the audio side, hop over to the YouTube channel at Convicted to Grow and make sure you subscribe to the channels and you can watch the visuals of this episode. Just know that your likes, your comments, and your shares are priceless to me. Now, also, if you would like to be a part of the Convicted to Grow community, you can go to ctgcommunity.com, where we have professionals and entrepreneurs who are looking to rebuild and rise when it relates to their vision, their voice, their visibility, and value. You can go to the description, and there you will see the link for you to join. Now, my next guest, I ain't going to go through the whole thing because I'm going to let him really introduce himself, but he's a former assistant superintendent, originally from New York, okay? But now he's in the DMV. He's an entrepreneur. He's a husband. He's a father. Happy belated Father's Day, by the way. He's a motivational speaker and he's a new start coach. And so he's very passionate about, especially helping our young people unlock the greatness within them, right? No matter where they began. So I'm going to hold it there because I can go on and I'm going to let him tell you who he is and his journey and his story. So, y'all, help me introduce none other than Dr. Phil. Hey, Dr. Phil.
Hey. Thank you, Coach. Appreciate it. Appreciate the opportunity.
Wait a minute. Let me do this right. Y'all help me welcome Dr. Phil Wesley. Look, I got so excited. Oh, the second, by the way.
Yeah. It's all good. It's all there. It's all there. It is all there.
I ain't even say his last name.
Oh no, we're all good. That's what you're gonna see on the Instagram anyway, Dr. Phil too. So it is all good.
Yes. And listen, y'all. I can't wait to just dive into his story. And I always tell you guys how I meet the guests that come on, whether it's through the social media streets or whether it's through a community. I actually met Dr. Phil probably about a year ago in the DMV chapter of Next Level Speaker. Shout out to the Next Level community out there doing some amazing things. And with the DMV chapter under the leadership of BJ Page and Wynette Richardson. So he had a chance to go up there and do his rep. Because we, as speakers, you put those reps in. And so I was like, oh, he got some fire with him. And then we only had a good 5 minutes. So I can only imagine when you get to stage, you got 30 minutes. Okay.
Wow.
But so that's how I met him. And here we are. So yeah. So go ahead and tell the people a little bit about yourself.
Hey everybody. Once again, thanks, Coach Tressa. And I saw her speak and I knew she had something special. I was like, wow, this is awesome. This is amazing. And thank you so much. My story goes, there's so much to the story, but what I like to tell my scholars is that, by the time I reached 8th grade, I'd been to 5 different schools and, started, grew up in New York and my mother was an educator. And so, there were different levels of that story of starting in school in Long Island, trying to do homeschool for a year. That it worked and it didn't work because it just didn't work. So went back to school, but she was teaching in Brooklyn at the time. She had done a restart in her career and went to school for teaching and started teaching 1st and 2nd grade. So I went to that same school in Brooklyn with her. Then she switched to another school in Queens. I went to that school. She switched to another school in California. I went to that school. So 5 different schools by the time I reached 8th grade. But I've learned something about having a new start. It's that learning how to build relationships, learning how to connect with people again, learning how to connect and not have to look to fit in, right? But to look for the right fit. So I'd always have that one good friend in every school. It was always that one or two good friends. I didn't need a whole crew. I wasn't Wu-Tang Clan, you know what I mean? I just needed one good friend. But when I was in 6th grade, my friend, he used to rap a lot. And,
Wow.
we'd be on the phone, he'd be rapping all the time. I didn't know how to rap at all. I had no clue. But you grow up in New York, that was the thing, all these rappers around, and, that's what you wanted to do. And so somewhere along the line, I was in 8th grade. I was living in California at the time and had a dream. I was going to be a rap artist. And I woke up out of that dream and I started writing. Now, I tell you, the inspiration to that dream as well is that when I was in 7th grade going to school in Queens, I met this dude named Malik. He used to come to our school all the time and, play basketball with us, baseball. So I kind of learned what mentorship looks like from an older youth to a younger youth. And I would just, he's just always the coolest dude and always pouring into us somehow, some way or another. One day he shows up to school in a suit. I'm like, he's not in our school, but he always visited our school and he came to our school in a suit. I was like, yo, what you doing in a suit, Malik? He's like, yeah, man, me and my boy John, we just signed we're about to sign a contract today. I was like, word? You signing the record today? Yeah. And I said, well, what's the name of the group? He was like, A Tribe Called Quest. And I was like, yo. And within no time, they came out with their first single and became legends in hip hop. And so I also wanted to pursue my, career in rap. And so for all my teenage life, that's all I did. That is all I did, just trying to make records and try to get out there. However, I went to 192, which is where Fife lived at the time, and right up the street from where they did Check the Rhyme video, right? Check the Rhyme. They did at New Cleaners, and his house was right up the road. So I walk up there, be like, hey, what's up? Saw him and Tip. And, he pulled me aside. He was like, hey, man, I know you want to get in this rap thing, but, I want to let you know some of the things that happen behind the scenes. It's all good to be in the studio. It's all good to be on stage, but there's a lot that happens behind the scenes that you don't know about. And I learned and through time, just through time and effort and error. And I learned there was so much behind the scenes that youth, they see the videos, they see the cars, they see all of this stuff, and then they think this is all real. And I realized all that is rentals, all of that is a rental. And that kind of became my thrust. And eventually I stopped rapping, but I picked up the mic in a different way and went into speaking. Another friend came to me and said, I had a dream you going to be a pastor. Now, at this time, my hair was longer. I had hair at the time. I had hair. And I was like, nah, I ain't about to be no preacher or nothing. And then it's like, yeah, I think you are. And then another professor comes to me and says, hey, you know what? You should start studying theology. It's like, get out of here. And so many.
What age was this?
This is about 1920. It was about 1920, about my second year in college now. I started college studying computer information systems and communication. Once I realized how much computer information systems had to do with math, I was like, this ain't mathing, right? So I dropped that part and I was like, all right, I'm gonna do communication. At the same time, my mother's like, you need another degree. Like, you don't need to just go through 4 years without just one degree. You need to come out with 2 degrees. So I was like, So I thought business might be the degree I would add on in college and what I would study, but it turned out to be religion. It turned out to be religion. And so I graduated with communication and religion in my undergrad, went to get my master's of divinity. That got sponsored by the conference that I was working with at the time, and was able to do that. And I've been really in the pulpit for almost 25 years. Since then.
Wow. Like, well, first of all, what a journey. Why in my head right now, I want to be like, you want a point Tip all the time, Fife. Here's a fucking introduction. How about nice I am.
So you mother to your father to the telegram.
Like because you see it last long.
My crew is never ever whacked because we stand strong. Yeah. My sister
Oh,
was in that video actually.
for real?
Yeah,
Oh my gosh.
yeah,
Wow. From rapping to preaching. Okay, okay. Listen, hey, you knew you had supposed to have a mic in your hand, but
yeah.
wow. Oh my god. So you ended up getting 4 degrees.
Yeah, because later on, I had the opportunity. I wanted to get my MBA, but the opportunity came to get my DBA. And so we went to a school in Mexico. One of our leaders created a cohort, and we went to Mexico, University of Montemorelos in Mexico, and we got our PhD in business administration. Classes were in English, just for anybody who needed to know. We did take some Spanish classes. We toured some Spanish businesses and really some Mexican businesses and got to see like, wow, the industry out there. But we'd come home and work on our dissertation. And I'm telling you, that thing, I had to work for that because at the time I'm living in Providence, Rhode Island, and also working on my doctoral, plus running a church, plus doing all I can. And so, yeah, it was a journey.
Okay, let me rewind back because I know we went to degrees. Now let's talk about the church thing now, because that's a calling, right?
Absolutely.
Like take me back to. I'm pretty sure. Was there any resistance at first? Like, when did you say, "Okay, I'm gonna be obedient. I accept this calling, and here I go."
Okay, well, the story might kind of scare some people, but we were doing at our college. It was a Christian college in South Lancaster, Massachusetts, and it was small school. I had started a school in Huntsville, Alabama, HBCU called Oakwood University. I started there, but then I transferred to a smaller school called Atlantic Union College in South Lancaster, Massachusetts. So we were doing you had the bigger student assembly, and then you had the afterglow kind of worship experience, right? So, where the black kids got together and did their own thing, and we did worship the way we like it. And, it was creative, and I was really into drama. I loved, the drama aspect of ministry. And so I took a play from what I learned from another student in Huntsville. And I said, hey, let's do this. But we created it to be ourselves, right? So it was a play of a young man, finding his way to Jesus, but then the play was kind of him taking back was Satan, Satan distracting him and telling him all the bad things, and him going to a club that night, leaving God that night, and then wanting to come back to God. And there's a part in the play where he's like, I'm going to go out and do what I want to do. So he nails Jesus to the wall, right? And so a symbolic cross, right? So, and when we're nailing him, we're making sound effects. So you can hear the bam, bam. We had no sound effects back in the 90s, right? So we took two books together and banged them in the mic, right? So you could just feel the intensity. Then when Jesus is crucified, we turn on a red light and it would shine on him, and the lights would shut off right away. So that was the effect. Of course, I'm like that prodigal son, and I'm coming back to him in the play. And I beat up Jesus. The person who played Jesus is my boy. He's the one that really helped inspire me to get into ministry as well. And he plays Jesus, but I beat him up real good, and then I nail him to a cross. And when the lights went off, then you can see Jesus. Then you can see me begging Jesus to come back in my life. And then the lights go off again. When the lights come back on, Jesus is standing in front of me, welcoming me back. And so that was the essence of the play. However, when the play finished, when we were closing out the service, the camera that was videotaping the play was turned off. Right then and there, a girl drops to the floor and becomes demonic. I mean, is under demonic oppression at this point. And so the students, the theology students, they come into the rescue, right? They take her to the back and they start praying. But some people that were in the room, she started calling out their sins, right? In another voice and another texture. They had to leave the room, right? They had to leave the room. And then the others just kept praying over her. Then the others that us were in the room We started praying like we never prayed before. We started singing like we never sang before. We started playing instruments like they didn't close out the service. Like even after she came out and, God had released her from the demons, nobody wanted to leave that room. Nobody, like till like 1 a.m. in the morning. And even after we all dispersed and went to our dorm, all people were all in my room. They were all in my room. They were like, man, we ain't leaving. We're not going anywhere. And that just showed me, it kind of gave me that essence between Michael the Archangel and Satan fighting for our souls in the room. And there was another person in the room that was, she was an author, a writer for a magazine, and she was kind of touring and speaking in different places. And so she said, I want to take this play on the road. And so we made a deal with the school that we would go recruit for the school if they paid for us to go to these different churches and venues to present this play. And they did. They gave us money to go on the road. They gave us a rental car. They gave us everything. And we went to Maryland. We went to Canada. We went to New York. And we just traveled around. And one night, just seeing how young people were impacted by the words that I spoke and the words that we spoke, the ministry that we gave, that's when the Spirit was just like, this is what I want you to do full time. This is what I want you to do full time. I want you to make impact and in a different way. And so started out in Harlem as a youth pastor after getting my my degree and everything, and just kept going from there. Became a youth director for 20,000 youth, an assistant youth director. Then I was a camp director at the same time, and really started to hone my language towards young people and what they needed to hear and the encouragement that they needed to have. And for, last 25 years, just been on that mission, whether I'm in a private school or a public school, just to give them hope in something bigger.
Yeah. When did you come to the DMV area?
Well, the DMV was actually part of my new start as well, because through my life, I'd gone through a divorce and been just trying to reset my life and reset my career and things like that. Met my wife, and actually I met her way back when I was in Harlem.
Wow.
Is
she from New York too?
She's from New York too, and went to Morgan and things like that. She ended up writing a book herself on blended families called We Need More Clouds.
Wow.
But we got back to we got together. It was a new set. It was a new start for me. And so that's how I speak on, that's why it's called Shaping Your New Start is my business, because I understand what it is to reset, to go through the trauma of a divorce, to go through the trauma of separating from my kids, and things like that. But I've been here for the last 7 years, about 7 years. And it's been awesome. I have 2 daughters in New York right now. One is in college, one is in high school. I have, our daughter here. She's graduating from 8th grade, going to 9th grade. And then we reset together and we have a 5-year-old.
Wow. Oh,
yeah.
Oh.
49 with a 5-year-old. That's a reset.
Wow. Just to hear that. That's amazing. And, thank you for sharing that, that whole reset, new start. I talk about the rebuilding. It's same thing, and what do you tell the person who have went through something similar but lost hope? They feel like, I can't rebuild again after whatever traumatic experience, whether it's a divorce, whether it's grief, whether it's losing your job or anything that's been a roadblock along the way. Right? What would you tell that person, whether it's a student or an adult, on how can they start over again?
Yeah.
But some people lose hope when it comes to that.
Oh, absolutely. You can even go to my website, drphil2.com, and there's an ebook for free. You can download it for free. It's called 6 Ways to Shape Your New Start. 6 Ways to Shape Your New Start. And if you go to that website, you will see all that I have. I've poured out everything I can, and I'll be working on some new books as well. But basically, you have to own your past. You just have to own your past, own where you came from, own all the mistakes you've made, take accountability, and that it's just not on one person where your life went. It doesn't matter your parents, your spouse, or your education. It doesn't matter. You can start over today. So first you have to take accountability where you are. Then you have to just kind of create your new direction. You have to write it down, like write the vision, right? Make it plain, right? Nothing happens until you write. And I tell the students this all the time, like, write what you want to do. Even if you don't know what to do, right? I don't know what to do. It just sets a tone in your mind, like, man, you know what? Let me keep writing, because something may, when I told you I had a dream one night and I wanted to be a rapper, you know what I got up and did the same morning? Started writing rhymes. And I started writing rhymes every day, like 300.
Wow.
Like just writing, and to the point where I can even start freestyling, and I can start shooting off the dome. And another place that I serve today is Prince George's Police County Chaplain. So I'm a chaplain for the police department, and a lot of times when I do my prayers for the promotion ceremonies and things like that, I write my prayer as a rhyme now.
Really?
Yes. So any Prince George's Police occasion that you've heard me pray, it's in a form of a rhyme.
Why is it out there listed? Or you just freestyle it, or what did you do?
No, I write it. Sometimes I write when I get to the event, just so I can feel the atmosphere, and I can just write it out. And then I do two prayers, one in the beginning, one at the end. The one at the end includes the things that they've said throughout the broadcast.
Wow. Like now, as a chaplain of the police department, are you also what's the word I'm looking for? Because I know when I went through what I went through with my fiance, when he passed away, the police had when they was there on site, they brought this man to my home, and I'm like, who is this? They was like, oh, he the chaplain. He just want to pray with you. And I'm just like, for what? I know how to pray. Like, I'm in the state, because I'm like, they knew before I knew to tell me, like, hey, he didn't make it. So are you doing that too?
No, my role is to support the police officers. So if there's any incident regarding police, we show up on the scene. If we need to debrief with them, we are there to debrief. Or I also serve in two different divisions as well. One is through special crimes. So, and sometimes I just show up and just show support, talk to them. And if they need to talk to me, they have that access to me.
Wow. How many jobs? You got like about 10 jobs.
Yeah, man. Yeah.
And then, guys, he's also a motivational speaker. And I know that's kind of how I saw you in your realm, in your zone. Yeah. That 5 minutes of rapid fire, I was like, whoa. Yeah. Now I see how you got it, because think about the pastor, the rapping from the pastor, and now the speaking. When did you get into, because you've always been a speaker, but when did you wear this title to say, I am a motivational speaker?
I'll tell you the craziest story. Now, I've been doing this for years, up to the time that I started saying I'm a motivational. I'd been doing this for years. I just didn't call it motivational speaking, but it was during COVID, and my wife had gone to Jamaica. She was like, hey, it's cool. We could go to Jamaica. I'm like, you sure? You sure it's good to travel? She's like, yeah, we need to go. It's so nice. So she booked us for like a Valentine's thing in Jamaica. It was like during February, and they had so many great protocols, like you super safe. And I'm in Jamaica. Now, I had just seen this ad by Jeremy Anderson, and I had known Jeremy Anderson for years, saw him on the Grace Tour, met him in many different youth venues that I was at as well. And, but I saw this advertised. I was like, what is this? I was like, okay, and really it was like $27 just to join in and see what's happening. I was like, yeah, cool. And then I'm walking down the path in Jamaica, and look who I run into, Jeremy Anderson.
For real?
Jeremy Anderson is on the same resort in Jamaica that I'm at. And the funny thing is, he wasn't even supposed to be at that resort. He was at another resort, did not like that resort, and ended up switching to the one I was at. and our paths collided right there. And I said, hey, man, tell me about this. And he started telling me a little bit more about this. I was like, all right, cool. I'm registering. And I registered right away. And then I went to the first conference in Atlanta, much smaller at that time, but it
What
was,
year did you go? Because I went to the one in 2023.
yes. So this was 2021.
Oh, oh
This was the
wow.
first one, the very first one.
Oh,
Yeah.
so you've seen it, how
Yes.
it's
Oh,
evolved.
yeah. Oh, man.
Was ET there when you went?
No, ET wasn't there. But some of the people that you might see, like Benjamin Lundquist, and Brad, and some were there in the beginning. Yeah. And then we
Wow.
started doing our training. We had weekly calls, and during COVID, we had all the time. We were always home, always on Zoom, always learning, and so they helped shape. Now, when I left that conference, I had driven from Maryland to Atlanta for this conference. My
What?
mother, she just had a procedure, and she was living in Florida at the time. And so I drove straight to Florida from Atlanta to spend maybe like a week
Wow.
there with her. But while I'm there, I met up with my coach, Kimon Hines, and we're on the phone talking about this new vision, this new step in my life. And he had started his, business coaching at the time. And I'll say, hey, man, I really want to do this. And then we started going through different names and different platforms. And so we came up with Dr. Phil 2, Shaping Your New Start, because it just encompasses everything that I do, starting over again, getting back up again. And at that time, I was pastoring. Listen, I was living in Maryland, but I was pastoring in Rhode Island. So that was the crazy. My time to minister in Maryland didn't start till some years later. And right before COVID, I was driving back and forth to Rhode Island.
How many hours is that?
It's about 8 to 10 hours. So I would go on Friday, preach on Saturday, come back on Sunday, and do that until COVID hit. And when COVID hit, we went straight virtual. And that saved my money. It saved my energy. I was tired, but you do what you have to do. You do what you have to do.
Listen, man, when I say if sacrifice had a face to it, y'all, like you have made several sacrifices in life, in everything. And I'm just I am just admire your story, your grind, your resilience. And just like I said, anybody else will be burnt out. Did you ever get burnt out in any time of your life, whether it was making those drives, those trips, or just even juggling? I mean, you're a pastor. You're also now a speaker. That's an entrepreneurship journey. You still your husband, father. I mean, you still got all these commitments. How does Dr. Phil handle all this without burning out?
Yeah, I mean, there are times where I'm feeling the burnout. I'm feeling like it's coming to that, and so I just pause. I need sleep. I made a video the other day that I overslept one of my appointments the other day because I needed sleep. My drive to church is about an hour and 20 minutes. When I go see my kids, it's about a 10-hour turnaround. Go to New York, go see them, and come right back. So all of that catches up, and I need sleep. I also have sleep apnea, so I sleep with the CPAP. So only people in the 80s know what I say. When I go say good night, I put it on and I say nanu nanu. I'm out. Mork and Mindy. It's just you got to go Google that. Mork and Mindy, Robin Williams, and every time he'd end the show, he'd be like nanu nanu. And but that's how I put on my mask and I knock out. I mean, by the time I hit the pillow, I am gone. But I overslept. I woke up. I put my scripture on because sometimes I just put my scripture on just to get the word in the morning. But this time the scripture is reading to me. I think I'd gone through a whole book of the Bible. I gone through all of that, but I needed to sleep so bad. And so I had to call my barber. I was like, yo, listen, I'm gonna hit you up later. I'm sorry, man. My bad. But it's just a matter of knowing when you need that rest, when you need that pause, when you need to step back, because if I don't, I'm missing appointments, I'm missing engagements, I'm missing people to make impact, because I'm forgetting things, or I'm too burned out, I'm doing too many things. So some things just don't get done
Right.
at that time, because I need my space to rest. I need that space to reset. And and I was talking about it in my message on Saturday, that even being a father, there's complexities. There's the complexity of being present but from a distance. So the trauma and trigger for me is when I have to say goodbye to my kids, even they're 19 and 15, right? Just to say goodbye to them, I have to pause. I can't just drive off. I have to pause and breathe for a minute, because I'm a father that loves to be with his children. But there are times when the separation happens. I have to breathe and I have to reset, and then I can hit the road. But I can't just get up and hit the road right away.
Wow. Yeah, I know that could be tough. And you mentioned something about the Bible. Do you have a go-to scripture? It's like maybe one of your favorite scriptures you go to?
Oh yeah. My go-to scripture is Revelation 2:10. The reason why is because, growing up in church, you hear a lot about the last days. You hear a lot about what's going on. Even if you look at today would seem like these are the last days, right? You see tanks on the street now. You're seeing all kind of craziness happen. You're seeing people just getting snatched up off the street. And so, but one of the things Revelation 2:10 told me was that fear none of those things which are about to happen. For some of you will suffer, some of you will be thrown into prison for 10 days. But it says, be faithful unto death, and I will give you the crown of life. And so what it tells me, there are 365 do not fears in the Bible. 365 versions of do not fear. Fear not, for I am your God. Fear not, for I am with you. Only do not fear, for every step that you take will prosper, right? In 65, and Revelation 2:10 is one of those things. It says, do not fear any of those things which are about to happen. As a teenager, I read that, and it calmed my fears of last day events. It calmed my fears of whatever the devil has to throw at us, whatever he has to throw at us. God says, do not fear, but be faithful unto death. So even if I were to die in my struggle, I know that I will receive the crown of life. Even if I were to die and never accomplish all that I want to accomplish, I know there's a crown of life waiting for me. So that's the hope that I always keep with me.
Yeah. And speaking of accomplishments, what is it that you feel like you haven't conquered yet, or you would love to accomplish before the end of this year? What the goal look like? What's the bold goal look like?
Oh yeah, definitely to bring more impact to scholars, to young people, to the schools. Get into more schools, get into more corporate offices, bring more hope. I mean, I always want to take that to the next level. I always want to grow at my speaking, grow at my engagement. And I got my college daughter now making phone calls for me. And I'm like, hey, listen, these are extra ways you can make some money. So, I always want to grow in my church, grow my purpose. Everything that I do, I want to be a better husband, a better father, just grow where I am and be the best version, be a better version today than I was yesterday.
I love it. And you mentioned something like, even I know the schools is your main thing in terms of the speaking, but you also mentioned corporate, because here's the thing, and just that's my lane, that space. I see it all the time, and we'll talk offline with that. But especially, I don't know if you target what you call ERGs, employee resource groups. Yeah, and so that is a good way. And I tell anybody who's a speaker that on the corporate side, one, start talking to the HR folks.
Yep.
HR wants that employee engagement. They want healthy employees. They want productive employees. And I've been fortunate enough to go in there and talk about resilience, rebuilding confidence. But I've also been able to get in with the resource groups, like just women. They got one for veterans. They got a little bit of everything. And so you just based on hearing what you've been through,
Yes.
and what you offer. I don't know now for your new start. That's a program. I know. Is it the name of your business, and as well as a program? And if so, is the program only tailored for the students, or do you have also something for? If I say call you tomorrow, say Dr. Phil, listen, I got this corporate gig. You want to come in and partner?
I got something for everybody. Okay. I've got something for students,
Okay,
for
equip to
parents,
be
for
equipped.
teachers, for corporate, for leaders. And I've come up with a term called grit, guts, resilience, inspiration, tenacity.
Oh, that's
And,
good.
there was a book that I read, Angela Duckworth, called Grit. And what she was doing was combining talent with passion and how far that can go. I said, wow, this is a great concept. So I started to develop my own concept of grit. And sometimes it's not just the smartest one in the room, but it could be the grittiest one in the room. And, I didn't grow up with the summa cum laude and the magna cum laude, but I did grow up with the thank you laude. And, I made it through a lot of what I went through just by grit, just by tenacity, just by getting through and never giving up and don't quit. So that's the mantra right here. Don't quit. And, keep
Y'all,
going.
he designed that shirt. He told me before we got on. He
Don't
designed.
quit. Don't quit. Do it.
Are
Right.
you selling those?
Yes. Yes. It's on the website as well. drphil2.com. So,
I love it.
yes.
And listen, y'all, when I talked to him prior to us getting on, I was like, your website, like who did it? Like, I'm like, who did it? He said, I did. When I say fire, it's fire. So make sure y'all go. Not only just check out the website, but check out his message, what he's offering, his services. I love the fact that you said his framework, grit. That's another thing I tell people, especially aspiring speakers and coaches and facilitators. Come up with your own acronym, come up with your own framework, because it'd be easier to tailor around and people can remember grit. I love it. I love it. I love that. And with the speaking, so what are you doing currently with students? I know you got on your thing, former superintendent. Are you still in the schools now, or just whenever you go in there with your programs?
Yeah, it's whenever I go in with a program. I might have a boys to men program, mentoring program that I do, for school contracts me for that, or they might contract me for a co-ed mentorship. In one school in Baltimore, I did a leadership program. So I went through all of their leaders from 6th to 8th grade, the student leaders. We met together, we did activities, we did sessions on grit. We did sessions on leadership, career building, leadership building, teaching them all the forms of leadership, communication. And so, those ways so that they can be better leaders when they go. And from the speaking engagements from other schools, I was able to offer a scholarship to one of the students at that school on the day of their graduation. So this is again, to grow and make impact in this forum is definitely a pleasure. It's a privilege and it's an honor.
Man, listen, you're doing some great things for the community. And listen, if you guys are an educator or decision maker out there, y'all better come and look, get him while we still got the 2025 prices, because next year.
Yeah, yesterday's price, today's price.
For real. And check, I want y'all to go to his IG page, and he got some snippets, some videos out there of him talking. And I'm talking about the man talks with passion. I can tell, I'm like, now it makes sense from the pastor, and now it makes sense. The anointing is over your life. Do you hear me?
Wow. Praise God.
No, I'm telling you. Yeah, the anointing is over your life, and that mic, that's your purpose. Whether you inspiring, preaching, teaching, speaking, coaching, you in your lane,
Yeah, absolutely. And
do you have a team that's helping you, or you just, because I know a lot of times, especially entrepreneurs starting out, and you're not new to this, but I just know sometimes when you're a small unit, and for resources, it's kind of like one man band. So are you a one man band? And if you are, how do you handle it all? Are you outsourcing anything? Because I think entrepreneurs need to hear that sometimes.
Absolutely. And there are times where I have to outsource and start training people to duplicate myself. And you start off doing a lot by yourself, but
Yeah.
try to contact the Fivers. And Chat GPT has become a great friend of mine. And it's great because I do the paid version now, where I've co-written a book already, and then I've written the Shaping Your New Start, but now it's helping me to write my next book and design it and come up with the graphics and things like that. And I utilize AI a lot in a lot of the forums and things like that. So, I'd say, hey, use your technology to your advantage. I bounce a lot of ideas off of friends, off of, I'm in a car with my sister and we're driving and she's like, yeah, you need to do something like Feel Good Friday. And I'm like, whoa, no. She's like,
Oh, I
that's
like
a
that.
great idea, right? So we now developed the forum called Feel Good Friday. So if you go to my Instagram, I dropped a gem on Feel Good Friday, and you'll see the marker on that. And then I'll continue to create more content for Fridays that come up. So you can start looking out for that. Feel Good Friday.
Come
PH.
on, sister. Go ahead and get credit. Listen, what they say, when two or more are gathered.
That's right, or gathered. Yeah. There is wisdom in a multitude of counselors, right? So
Oh
there's a
my.
lot of things I bounce off of a lot of people. They get, hey, what do you think of this? What do you think of that? My wife bouncing off of her all the time. And, so, we continue to write. I write for a magazine, and I have a column in a magazine called Message Magazine, and I write about artists. I do interviews with artists. I, write about books. So if you have a book, hit me up, and, I'll talk about your book. I'll write about your book. I'll do the blog, and, send me the information. I do the reviews. So like I said, my first degree was communication. So that I didn't lose that just because I went into preach. I use it for the preaching, for the avenues that I do. Even when I was in college, I did a poetry, artwork, and short story magazine called Aspirations, and it was students turning in their poetry, their art, their poems, their short stories, and I would publish it. So it's been a fun, it's a fun journey. You just got to make it fun. You just have to use everything that God has given you. What's in your hand? It's not about what's not in your hand. It's all that is in your hand, right? That's what he told Moses. He said, Moses, what's in your hand? Only Moses had a stick. With that stick, he parted a whole Red Sea, right?
That
But
part.
you're doing it through a power of God. And so you just, say, hey, God, hey, here I am, use me, and where do you want me today? And I go to a public school. I don't have to preach, but I give a word. You know what I mean? I give a word because everyone needs a new start. Everyone needs that encouragement, that power to say you can do it. Like if I ask most students to raise their hand of who thinks they can get a straight A, most of them won't raise their hand. They refuse to raise their hand. I said, you can get a straight A if you want. It's not your ability. It's just the drive. Some of them have already counted themselves out when God has already counted them in, right?
Come on.
You can't count yourself out. You've already been counted in. All you need to do is just walk in that favor and walk in the direction that you have been called to walk, and don't look back and don't waver. You just walk confidently in that room and know you got something to say.
That part. I know he just missed, that was a message for the students, but that's for us too.
Yeah.
Don't count yourself out. You better look, because it starts even with the belief.
Yeah.
Do you believe you got what it takes to succeed?
That's right. That's right. That's right. And so, whether I'm on the streets or whether I'm in the church, it's just like, hey, listen, what's the belief in yourself? Like, hey, just believe you can accomplish many things, and you're going to see something. You're going to see God move in a way you've never seen him move before.
Ooh, I love it. I love it. And you listen, I'm definitely going to get with you because, I got this book coming out in less than like 9 days, Convicted to Grow.
Hit me up.
Convicted to Grow.
Yes.
So I'm definitely going to be hitting you up. I'm trying to get on every outlet and podcast and articles. So yes, but no, you're doing some amazing things. And I know you got, like you said, that's your goal. Anything you want the people to know, like any upcoming tours or projects or a book? I know you go to your site, you got stuff now, but
Yeah. The stuff that's offsite is actually the things I was doing before. And I still operate through my business, McGuire Entertainment Group. We have 3 songs on iTunes that you can check out. It's called The Mega Project
Okay.
featuring Sharice Tomlin. The Mega Project. It's on iTunes, on any one of the downloadable digital platforms, on YouTube. But it's called The Mega Project. One song is called Featuring Sharice Tomlin.
You're singing?
I'm not singing, no. I had a vision to do a full album full of different artists and promote them. And so I did a live recording in New York. And but out of that project came 3 songs. So it's called The Mega Project. And Sharice Tomlin is one of them, Mark Prentice, Jay Medley. So we have 3 songs on iTunes called The Mega Project. It's been, it was my time where I was doing a lot of music promotion, a lot of executive producing, and a connection to a lot of gospel artists and things like that. And so we did showcases in Las Vegas during Stellar Awards. We did showcases in New York and all over, and then the live recording where we brought in several different artists from all over the place, from Toronto to Maryland to New York, to from all over Atlanta. And we put together a pretty cool concert. But we shifted, so now we're doing more motivational speaking. There's a book called Lessons for the Journey. And so that I co-wrote that with 2 other authors, and that's on Amazon. Lessons for the Journey. And it's a youth devotional book. I have my section in that book, and we wrote several different stages of that. So, and then we're working on some more. So at this point, we're continually working.
Hey, to whom much is given,
much is required.
That part. See, I already knew it. Look, the man know the word where he can just come off of finish this.
Yes, indeed.
I love it. Well, you know what? I really appreciate this time of just talking to you. This probably won't be the last that we stay connected. We're connected now, next level family.
That's right.
But in any and everything that you're doing, I pray that it's continue to operate in excellence, and continue to increase your territory. You're already doing it now.
Amen.
But the territory of the impact.
Amen.
And I always say the vision is bigger than the zip code.
Right.
When you leave that zip code, there's a world that's waiting for your message, that's waiting for your services, that's waiting for your impact. And so I just feel good to be able to interview Dr. Phil, right?
That's right.
But your family, your finances, your faith, and all those things, increase your territory. And like the stage is yours. The stage is yours. From stage to stage, y'all. Church, from the boardroom to the courtroom to the schoolroom. Like, hey, y'all, from stage to stage.
That's right.
You need to go on and get that LLC from stage to stage.
That's right. Hey, that's growth.
Yes, come on now. And anything else before I ask you the last question?
Hey, everyone needs a new start, and you can start today. It doesn't matter how old you are. It doesn't matter how young you are. Everyone needs a new start. So get up, start over, reset, take a nap, come back strong, and everything you do, give it all the passion you can give it all the grit that you can give it. Get that guts, get that resilience, get that inspiration, get that tenacity together, and I believe you will see success. It's okay to start again.
I know that's right. Come on, mic drop. So listen, in 90 seconds or less, tell me, what does convicted to grow mean to you?
Convicted to grow means that you got to believe that there is opportunity for growth. There is a necessity to grow. There is a passion to grow, and you've got to be convicted. Nobody else can convict you for you. You yourself have to be convicted. You have to have that passion and understanding that, hey, if I don't grow, nobody will grow for me. And if growth didn't come to me, growth is going to come from me. And so today I am convicted that I need to grow, and the people around me need to grow, and the people that I inspire need to grow. I am convicted. I am lifted. I am never conflicted, but I believe that I'm convicted to grow, and this is what you know. Come on, let's get in that flow.
I'm in church. Come on, Pastor. Look, mic drop.
Do it.
Listen, y'all got that. Listen, y'all make sure y'all catch that. Hit pause and go back, and he was on either. He tried to ride that thing. No, I ain't gonna say he tried. He did that. With the new generation, they say, "Oh, you ate."
I'm still learning all the terms. I'm still learning. Oh man.
Oh God, no, this has been a blessing. It's been a blessing. And y'all know how I always do at the end. Life is a journey. Life is priceless, and to some, life is short. But while you here on God's green earth, you recognize who you are. You step into your potential. You got what it takes to win. You got to believe you got what it takes to win. Listen, this is your next level season. This is your season, whether it's a new start, reset, rebuild. But guess what? You got in order to do it. Accept where you are and say, I make a change today. My change today is going to determine where I'm going forward. Right? Like E.T. always say, let your next move be your best move. And here's the thing, you're going to move with strategy and not emotions. And so just know we're rooting for you, whether you're an educator, a student, a leader, a professional, an entrepreneur, mother, father, sister, brother, whatever you are. We're not driven by the titles. It's what's in your heart. Okay. So at the end of the day, y'all, we love y'all. We rooting for you. And until next time, make sure you subscribe to the channel. Love you.